everybody has to be.
Boss lady, you gotta sign in.
I think everybody needs to sign in, well, there it goes, if they speak or not.
Ideally, everyone should sign in.
You can sign all their names.
Yeah, you know how to spell it.
You can say the boys' names and then they'll be readable.
Pretty fine, before I do.
I don't know.
I'm looking at him. If you wanna read anything, I have to write it for you.
I sent it.
You guys wanted to speak in public comment? Or just as part of the agenda
Hey,
item?
what's up?
I mean, what, are you speaking in public comment?
No, I think we're all.
Right.
Just an agenda. They're on the agenda
Okay.
for demonstration
Well,
and.
it's 2 minutes to 7.
Funding.
Okay.
Yeah, I just sent you that.
Oh, yeah, it's gonna start right sharp and sharp.
Yeah, I just didn't know they were gonna participate in it.
No, it's gonna be all right.
Usually that's during the open session.
Is it
We
everything?
just do our business during that time.
No, that's okay, I'll talk to you after I'm done.
Yeah, they're on, they should be on the second.
All right.
Right.
Well, there's robotics on item 10. That's our part. I would have to just do it beginning. Any public comment.
Yeah, we can do that.
Alright, so it sounds like prepare to make your case in public comment.
Going to the beach?
Second.
Going to New York after early this meeting.
Second meeting.
Oh,
Nice.
And then the second.
Are we leaving tonight?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're lazy, imagine that. You're out right for a video.
I have to take really good notes for Jan.
Good luck. When was her surgery today or yesterday?
This morning.
Was
And
she
by
home?
2:30 she was home, walking in the house.
Is it a full team?
Full hip replacement.
Oh.
Ooh.
In that case, congratulations, Jan. I'm glad your surgery went well.
She was gonna try,
She's at home, huh?
she was gonna try and watch unless she falls asleep.
Are we ready?
Alright, call the meeting to order, Williamsfield Community Unit School District amended budget, public hearing Monday, June 10th, 2024. Pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Jane.
Here.
Whitney.
Here.
Lisa.
Here.
I am here. Wes and April are not. Nothing under public comment for amended. For a motion.
I make a motion to
going to our regular meeting. Call that meeting to order. And roll call for that meeting. Jennifer.
Yes.
Brittany.
Here.
Lisa.
Here.
And I'm here. Wes and April are gone. All right, number 4, opportunity for public comment. So for your line bombers, this will be you guys can go ahead, instead of being down on agenda item number 10, we'll get you here, hear it and discuss it, and then get you out of here.
You're on.
Okay, hello everyone. The robotics team would like to start by saying how grateful we have been for your support over our team the last 5 years. Robotics is an extracurricular activity, and it truly prepares each member as that participates for the real world. Not only does it offer practical skills and mechanics and various coding skills, but it also offers many communication and networking skills. In addition, FIRST offers merit scholarships to their alumni and provides many opportunities for jobs for the future. Our team has brought home an award almost every season we've had, and this year we brought home 2 awards from both competitions we attended. The Brownie Bombers actually went to Worlds our first year for Inspiration Award, and we're still recognized for that at competitions today. When going to our competition, we see around 90 teams, and we are surrounded by the best of the best. Most teams have 20 to 30 people per team, if not more. This year, the Brownie Bombers had 11 members. In addition, these teams are working with state-of-the-art labs around 7 to 10 mentors, and this year we had 2. Our team is incredibly grateful for our mentors, and we do our best to keep up, but the other teams are miles ahead of us. At our home regional in 2024, we were the only team with a team drive system. Swerve was our goal for our team because of its mobility and speed, and we finally achieved that postseason this year. You have been very generous in your funding and resources, and we are very appreciative of that, and we hope we can continue to do that in the future. However, the 2024 season, we believe that there was a misunderstanding about the money allocated. We were given $15,000 from the school for supplies, as well as money specifically covering the cost of regionals, and we were given a grant from Parker Hampton of $10,000, and money from other sponsors and fundraising that was supposed to go directly towards supplies and other equipment. This would mean that we would have $27,000 to work with. So at the end of the season, the team was under the impression that we had $8,288.15 left in our account. We talked to the school, and they told us that the money had gone back to the school to offset the cost of the school funding. Today, we are asking for that money back in hopes of spending it to better our robotics program for our next upcoming season. We feel as though it was a little dishonest to not use it how it was intended when we received it from Parker. Matthew and Kay, you want to just go spiel about what you want to spend it on exactly?
Okay.
Just so you know how.
So we have roughly $8,300, a little less than that. I don't know the exact number, but we have opportunities to spend this money on more robotics. We have the opportunity to build a robot to throw a first pitch at a Chiefs game. We have a mentor coming in who is a parent of a student on the team who has their foot in the door to get that set up. We just need to have some funding and pull the trigger on that. And we're also looking to buy spare parts as backups, which is about $5,000, a little less than $5,000 of backup parts. So in the event of a mechanical failure, we can just pull something off of our robot and completely replace it. So we can just get back into the competition as fast as possible. And on top of that, we're looking to spend a little bit of money on our pit design, which the pit is a 10-foot by 10-foot area that we're given at competitions to work on our robot and store everything we have to have. 10 feet by 10 feet. It's not very big, even for a team with 11 people. It's hard to fit people, and we're looking to spend a couple $1,000 on that to redesign it in a way that's the most efficient way possible.
So that's how we intend on using the money. We just would like, we fix the issue going forward, like next season, all of our sponsored money will go towards a different account. So we just wanted to come in and talk about that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So just so you guys know, we'll have a discussion on it, but it'll be further down the agenda.
Perfect, thank you.
Alright, monthly financial report, which is April and 10.
Started as far as the overall general fund is concerned with $1.18 million. Something to note, started the month with a negative balance of $159,000 in the ed fund. And we know, the IMRF and the tort funds are negative because of the plain way the bond issue is structured. Ended, as of May 31st, with $714,000 overall in the general fund, and a balance in the ed fund of negative $450,000. Laura and I spoke with our bank, and we have a line of credit established if needed, and we may need to use it depending on when our first tax drop is received. If trend continues, if we get the same drop, a similar drop as to what we got last year in June, which was about $1.3 million in the ed fund, that will end the fiscal year with a positive balance in the ed fund.
Are these county taxes?
If we don't get a drop similar to last year, we could end the fiscal year with a negative balance. I'll talk about it more when we talk about the budget. I can't talk about it enough. The important thing is to pass 3 levies that will, for the next 3 years, to pay for the teacher's contract that was approved and firm the ed fund. We have room to do so as long as we pass the increases in the ed fund. That's the most important financial thing moving forward, is stabilizing the ed fund. If you remember, this goes back, 6 years, 5 years, when the levy was frozen, the ed fund was what was frozen. And that's the net result of that is the value of the year.
What was the bottom line of that, like $450?
Yep.
Any discussion on that, on the financial? Okay. Number 6, approval of consent agenda.
I'll make approval of consent agenda.
Roll call. Jenny?
Yay.
Brittany?
Yes.
Lisa? I'm a yes. Number 9, discussion and action on amended FY '24 district budget.
Okay, nothing's changed as far as the tentative amendments to the final, so everything remains the same. We can just walk through these lines if you'd like. Up elementary contractual services to 7 from 5,000. Up substitute teachers to 30 from 20. Up ESSER 3 contractual from 94,990 to 94,990 from 0. Up textbooks to 6,600 from 2,000. Up driver's ed contractual services to 4,000 from 100. Up curriculum software and online to 25,000 from 20. Extra driving to 45 from 30. Transportation and other to 75 from 25. Bus fuel to 30 from 20. Building and grounds improvement, 98 from 25. As a permanent transfer that was requested by the auditor in the fall. And up legal fees to 25,000 from 2,000. do that, and we should, good Lord willing, be within the constraints that the state tells us to live within in each fund.
Right. Any further discussion on this? I know we discussed it last month. I need a motion.
I'll move to approve the, amendment 24 district budget.
I'll second that.
Roll call. Jenny?
Yay.
Brittany?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
And I am a yes.
Before we bounce, can I just revisit these two things on the front of here? It's just the bond information to note. And that's all the information on when the bonds will be paid, off. So it talks about the amount of funds that needs to be prioritized in order to pay for those until they are paid off, and what fund they should come from.
So we'll just have two bonds after December then, correct?
After December, yeah,
Well, we have December 2026, so we have,
after June of next year, then we'll just have the alternate bond remaining.
okay,
It'll be paid off.
everything else, that'd be the only remaining one of 110.
Yeah, these are the only two that we have. So we'll have a $540,000 bond payment, total next year. And then the bond, the, health life safety bond will be paid off at the end of FY '25. FY '25 should include $126,000 for an alt-rev bond payment. FY '26, $126,500 for an alt-rev bond payment, and FY '27, $110,000 for an alt-rev bond payment. And then we've got everything paid off in December of 2026. On the levy side of things, you can see our rate this year ended up being lower than what was projected. We always, if you look, we've planned for now a 6% increase in EAV for the next few years. This year our EAV went up 11.29%, so almost twice as much as what was anticipated. So that dropped our tax rate to 4.15, which you can see is significantly lower than anybody else around. Now remember, we've got a plan in place. If you look at the green, if you just use the levy as a framework, the IMRF Social Security Fund will be back in positive with revenues matching expenditures at the end of FY '26. Same with the tort fund. You get 2 fiscal years, and then you'll be revenues above expenditures and a positive balance in tort and IMRF/Social Security. In the ed fund, at the end of next fiscal year, again, as long as you pass a good levy, you'll have a positive balance in the ed fund, revenues exceeding expenditures. And then in FY '26 and FY '27, we'll be building up reserves in the ed fund to get the days cash on hand back to what is ideal.
That's 77,000, what's our actual cash on hand?
That's the projected fund balance at the end of this fiscal year.
Yep, how
On
much
June
days?
30th.
What does that turn around if days of cash on hand, do we have that?
Oh, it won't be many. It'll be under 100, right? It's hard to project. It'll be low for 2 reasons. One, typically we have a strong balance in the ed fund. That's typically the strongest fund because that's where most of the expenditures go, or most of the revenue goes. And that'll be down potentially under $100,000. In addition, they figure days cash on hand based upon expenditures from the 3 major funds, ed, building, and transportation. And depending on how things are calculated, a lot of our ed fund expenditures that are grant related could make it look like we have more expenditures than what we actually do, which then would make a days of expenditures worth more than don't be surprised when the AFR comes in, if it says you have 50 days cash on hand.
Well, we went from what, 286 down to probably 70 or less.
This will be the lowest we'll ever have days cash on hand.
And the 286, that included
The less is.
grant money.
So again, in this, the levy will have to be increased, but the interesting thing about the way that we've been operating is that we don't fund, or we don't ask for the max of what the voters have approved in the ed fund. If you look right there, the voters have approved a max rate of $3.43 in the ed fund. We asked for $3.01 last year. And we've done that to try and keep a stable rate, and keep our rate the lowest around.
Knowing that we're gonna take a hit in the ed fund temporarily.
And now with the bond, with the health life safety bond coming off the levy, you see that's 43 cents. You don't have, we've generated all the revenue we need to pay that off. And, so there's no more, that will not be on the levy anymore. So that 43 cents, you can bump right into the, add that to the ed fund. What I would, recommend you guys do is balloon the ed fund, levy request, so that if the EAB goes up higher, you can capture more revenue and still be under the max approved rate. And then that'll make the ed fund healthier quicker. And even with that rate, even with that increase in the ed fund, but if you just utilize this framework, it will be a percent increase of 18% in the levy request next year, but the rate would project to be $4.34. And then FY 25 or tax year 2025, $4.34. Tax year 2026, $4.25. And then it should be stable, and that rate should be able to lower, unless something happens to the EAB. If you look at $4.34, that's still cheaper than
Most of the years.
most of the years previous, and it's still $4.34 compared to everybody in the area. It's still the lowest around. It's almost done. Would just be cognizant of that.
Okay. Any other questions, discussion on that? Number 10, discussion and action on robotics program funding. So, I guess the first question I have is the account that the money was removed from is not like an activity account, like our baseball accounts that they maintain themselves? Or is that an actual budget line item?
There's never been a separate account for robotics. There's never been money removed from anything. The agreement we had when the board approved the robotics program, which I love and value. Two of my 3 kids went through the program. I've been heavily involved with that. The agreement was that sponsors and grants would offset costs that the district incurred by adding the program. This year, there was a robotics budget of $26,000. We use the same approach as we have in every year past. Years past, they raised money through sponsorships. That money has gone to offset the lines that the district committed as far as county goes. We did the same thing this year as we have every other year. The difference, to the kids' credit, and thanks to Matt, is a $10,000 grant. And we've never received that hefty of support. I have to go back and look, but annually it's probably been more than $3,000 to $5,000 range in sponsorships, if that sounds right to you. Because Kathy was in charge of most of that.
It's never been very high.
So the approach that the kids are asking the district to take, from my perspective, is to allow them to establish an activity account where their sponsorship and grant money would go, and have the district just commit to their lines, and then any money that they raise would supplement whatever the district budget is. We have two different lines for robotics. One is basically for entry fees, and then the other one is for hotels, supplies, equipment.
So how does that align with other similar groups?
There are some differences. Since I've been here, we've never approved a program that has said they will fundraise to support their program, you know, in order, and basically that was a sales pitch, right? A good one, to get it added to our lists of offers. You know, basically saying, we're gonna work to support the program, we're just asking for your guys' support, we can offset costs as much as possible. All of our other programs are, to my knowledge, self-sustaining, with regards to lines in the budget. Now, what's unique about robotics is we don't have a baseball line in the budget. We don't have a football line in the budget. We don't have a volleyball line in the budget. All that's interscholastic activities. So there's just a pool of money there that then goes towards all athletic endeavors. Fine arts is pretty similar, you know, although there's some separate things for musical contractual services and stuff like that. But for the most part, robotics is unique in having their own specific line item.
True, but most of your sports are covered under the co-op, so, you know, I mean, we write checks for that. They don't have a line item per se in the budget.
No, I know we pay for it,
Right.
but they don't have a separate line.
Does drama have his own department, so their own funding? Is it separate or for your plays for drama?
Drama has an activity account
Is it
that
their own
we raise money
activity account?
for, and then we've talked as a board about establishing a budget for the musical itself.
The activity is.
The activity account is money that's
for-
raised from the shows or any fundraising we do.
So you'd have your own account for the play?
Yes.
Does the school provide an offset?
That's what we were working to balance out.
Yeah,
Just
I
talking
mean-
about what the budget needs to be, what the school is going to. I think it sounds to me, without digging too deep, musical and play would be similar to robotics.
But, yeah, that's the thing I think we need to know as a board is, we want to treat all of our groups alike.
Correct.
So, then what's the impact on the budget, the district?
Similar things have been done, and I may be misspeaking, because I wasn't aware of this coming into this meeting, so I didn't do my research. But like, we've taken out of the activity fund to, when royalties for the musical has been really high. So we've taken money out of that activity fund to help support any of the expenses
So what's their,
that were incurred.
currently, we have a $15,000 budget.
$26,000.
So what's the 15,000?
But it's two different line items. So we have a 15 and a 11,000. I'm assuming one's gonna be to cover the hotels and expenses and that, and the other's gonna be for the actual robotic stuff itself.
We have a $15,000 budget that's basically for equipment, let's read some stuff, right? Equipment, robotic supply, like Red Robotics, other things like MasterCar, Menards, Casey's for Pizza, St. Louis Aquarium, Bradley University Catering, Dining in St. Louis, Rooms for St. Louis, you know, these are all of the basic expenses, including hotels, including
Right.
whatever it is.
And that's the 15,000.
That's the 15,000.
26 every year, is that the standard?
I have to go back and look. I'd say the numbers are pretty consistent.
Do they ever get sponsorships like this? Have they ever in the past? And
Sponsorships, yes, a $10,000 grant, no.
so the 3,000, say last year they got $3,500. Does that go back into the 15,000 fund?
Well, it just offsets. So we don't go, so it gets added as revenue under this same line item. So that when all the smoke clears, we try and end within, and really it's the $15,000 one that's, has all the activity. So you try and end with expenditures of no more than $15,000.
What were their expenditures this year?
This year. Looks like about 10.
So,
Yeah, so when I look at
There
this,
be no need for offset.
no, I
if
think
you
that,
run there.
am I looking at the wrong direction? They're
Yeah.
over 5.
That doesn't sound right.
Over $5 grand.
Yeah, so we spent more than what?
We spent 20, right?
But we took 8,
Correct. I'm sorry,
but we took 8.
took 8.
We didn't necessarily,
We didn't take
we didn't
anything.
take 8, but it's been removed from the budget. And then, like you said, when the smoke clears at the end of the year, then when we have a new budget for the next fiscal year, it'll be back to 15,000. We didn't necessarily take the money.
Right.
It's just the budget, the line items have been depleted, and they're using that money to offset.
Which is exactly what happened in musical last year. Would I be correct, Jim, in saying that or no?
Say that again?
Similar to what happened in the musical last year. I ended up
I
using
believe
activity,
so.
we took money out of the activity fund to compensate for expenses.
So,
So that is happening, what's happening in robotics is happening to some of the other programs, and is all I'm saying.
it's just they don't have their own activity account.
Correct. And the reason they don't have their activity account is because of the commitment on pitch day. When they pitch the program. So it all comes back to, does the board want to, like, release kind of that requirement of grants and sponsorships going to offset the amount of money that the district is committing in the budget, or does it, and if the district wants to alleviate that, change that practice, then my guess is, from what it sounds like, they would open their own activity account and put sponsorship and grant money that they secure into that account.
And I think that would be the correct solution for them, and probably for us. When you have grant money, not that grant money is not going towards to offset line item budgets, but when it's going towards the offset line item budgets, it's not the same as it going towards their activity account.
Correct.
Is this gonna be an annual grant? Do we know?
Am I allowed to speak?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm just
So,
asking if it's gonna be.
my name is Matt, this is my son. I'm with Parker, I'm the one that got this started.
Okay,
He come to me as a sponsorship from Parker,
okay.
under the assumption that this 10,000 would go straight to the robotics team. Okay, not to fulfill the budget.
Offset.
The offset, okay? And then from that 15, from what I find out, we have to share, the robotics teams has to share that with the STEM lab and the FLT, the Vega League. So, in realistic, they only get about 11,000 of that 15,000 to the robotics team. And then, so then the 9,000 for the entries they spend for the two, that they do, so. Parker has stepped up to give the 10,000 towards the robotics to try to get this team better and better and better.
And that's fabulous.
With that.
That's fabulous.
And as I go forward, I see what it's done for my son and Matthew, and, you know, this young lady stands up and speaks to this room, it's unbelievable what I see.
Absolutely.
it's great. So I want this team to go forward, and what they're asking for, to throw out the first pitch at this, to spend more money that I don't have. So I've currently got a grant in there right now for this, depending on the way this board votes today. Or if they are, you will vote today, but the grant is in motion for this year already. So hopefully, we can proceed and go forward. So, does that make sense what I'm asking?
It does, yes, thank you very much.
I'll clarify a couple things. There's no, to my knowledge, you can correct me if I'm wrong, none of the STEM, or none of the robotics budget goes towards the STEM lab. Now,
STEM team is what he's trying to
Yeah.
is what we were told, but
were you told by me?
with Ms. White gone, that's what we were told by our mentors, so that's what we.
Not by this mentor.
Not by that.
So that's not true. So you're not sharing the STEM team. This is, if I look through the lines, like for example, the big cost that we have for STEM team is a trip to Chicago, right? And I don't see any of those in this budget.
And I can affirm that as well.
And this year, we didn't have an FLL team. So there wasn't any of this grant that went towards that.
Yes, I hear that, but in past it has.
Correct.
So.
Yeah, these lines are
Right.
for both robotics.
Right. Which, they're gonna work on that too, they wanna work on that. So.
Well, I think fundraising, if they're fundraising, I don't wanna take away from their efforts, cause that takes away their incentive.
Right.
So, but I guess, can we afford it as a district, cause this is probably the largest and biggest situation that we're gonna be in.
Outside of sports, this is our most most expensive.
Would this have any carryover that would cause a budget issue on, would carry over to sports, or?
The issue with sports right now is if you were to argue from the sports side, that we already dedicate more to robotics than what we dedicate to other sports. But the real thing is, do you want them to raise money and know that, you can adjust the budget lines however you.
Well, that's kind of what I was thinking, is that the activity account, I think, is needed. I think they should be able to, fundraise, be able to put money in there. If they get grants specifically written for the robotics team, that money should go in the activity account. And then we would be able to look at if there's a $10,000 grant as we're doing the budget, where we can adjust those line items accordingly. Not that we're taking money away from them, but sort of on a line item, on a budget line item. So maybe if it's, they get a $10,000 grant instead of a $15,000 line item, it would be a $12,000 line item or something along. To where our budget is gonna be close to the zero at the end of the season.
If I were you, if you vote to, really remove the restriction that grants and sponsors, any money that they generate, remove the restriction that goes to offset the budget lines. Then you ask for them to pay for something, so that you can go out with the pitch to your grant or your sponsor as to what directly it is that you're paying for. Something as simple as entry fees, right? Hey, it costs us $9,000 in entry fees every year. Our school district does not pay our entry fees. We are raising money for our entry fees, or vice versa, right? Our school district will only pay $10,000 towards equipment and supplies. We're trying to build a $20,000 robot, something like that. That's where it's been easy in the past for Kathy to go out and ask for sponsors, is, hey, we are a school-sponsored program, but we guarantee our school district that if we can get some sponsors, then that money will stay in the budget, right?
Yeah, with their activity account, that's pretty much what all of our different activity accounts, what they're utilizing long as we say, hey, you know, this is your line item budget here, this is like you're saying, you know, this is what we're gonna give you, this is your line item. So it's up to you to raise all that, that's what's left over. And whether that's something that's grant money or fundraisers, just like any of the other sports do, or same way with drama or whatever the case may be there.
This year, we went, and the board is always committed to the program. This year, we spent $3,000 more than we budgeted in line health line. Last year, I think we spent significantly more, than what we budgeted.
Seems like it.
Are there years we spend significantly less? I mean, it's robotics, so everything is
Not to
expensive.
my knowledge, but
Everything's
the good thing is we have a lot of supplies and a lot of tools and stuff that are built up and established now. Whereas I think, if I remember right, don't quote me on this, but I think we infused an extra $10,000 in that first year to buy tools and tool chests and,
Sure.
you know, a
Get
lot of
everything
stuff.
up and going.
And then, I mean, these guys know, when it gets into the heat of competition season, it's like, hey, we need this, we can't do any more work to this robot, we know this is the issue with the robot, we need this right now. So we'll do overnight shipping, sometimes on a part that we
Right.
need in order to make the robot work.
So, kinda here's what I would like to do for tonight. I feel like we need a little more information. I'd like to table it. Maybe have a conversation with Ken and Matt, or whatever the case may be, and have more information for us to come back to next month in the July meeting.
What's the timeframe, maybe?
Are you pretty tight with that?
The good thing is, whatever you buy now goes on next year's budget. So you can buy things now if you need something for the thing to work.
Well, that's just it, we don't know what the budget is or what the team can actually do.
So
We're
we want-
kinda in up in the air at the moment, I mean, as far as the team goes, what the budget is. I mean, is it the 25,000, is it the 10,000, I mean, you understand where I'm at, but
Well, I don't
they're not asking for a budget right now, they're just asking for the 8,000 that they perceived that they still had in their budget by looking at what they were told they had.
And that perception was incorrect.
So,
We didn't steal anything.
I'm not saying anybody stole anything.
Well, I was told it was dishonest.
Well-
I think was the word, right? That was the word that was used.
Yeah, I mean, I understand, probably wasn't the correct word that should have been used, but, you gotta look at it this way, these kids heard this, they believed it, so they're trying to do the best they can with what they have. I've watched them borrow parts from other teams to keep their robot going. So, that's where when you hear these $5,000 for spare parts, it's a team of 11 kids. 2 mentors that give so much free time last year that I don't think their stipend's even big enough for that, in my opinion. But it needs to proceed because it's a huge thing. It's worldwide. I work with a young man that is on the Metamora team. The Metamora team has 45 kids on their team. They have 36 mentors. Okay, they have their own machine shop, they have their own things. They go to nationals every year in this. And I told them that my son was on the Williamsfield Bombers team, and they said, that is a great little team for as little as it is, for few team members they have. He knew exactly who we were. That was cool.
Yeah.
That was cool. So this team does make a mark and does do something for what they have.
Absolutely.
So that's why I want to come in and keep going.
So there's,
I'm
so
with
I
you.
wanna clarify, there's not gonna be any talk of taking money away from the program. Alright, I mean, what we need to do is we need to decide how much money is gonna go into your activity account, if we go that route, and then what the budgeted items need to be. But nobody is talking about taking money away from the program.
I think their perception will be different, so if you were to look at what was budgeted and what they added throughout.
Correct.
What they was added from outside sponsorship, they would have money left over in their account. But
Correct.
we said, at Sanford, they zero out all accounts at the end
Right.
of the year. So that was put in as a revenue, we just didn't spend it all, so
No,
there's a difference in perception.
I follow what he's saying, I think you and I are maybe, I'm saying for next year, when it comes to an activity account and establishing the budget for the actual line items, nobody's talking about decreasing that for next year, for our next budget. I think we just need a little more information on how you're gonna set up the activity account. We need to,
I'm sorry.
go ahead.
We were told that we do have something set up in the student activity account as now.
Okay.
We didn't prior to this, but I was told that there was something
You look in the front of your.
for robotics now.
See if there's a robotics line on it.
It should be, the activity.
I think he just set it up right in the school. I think he wasn't set up like
Where am I looking?
in May.
There are,
Should be an
or.
activity.
It'll be under the activity account, so it'll be like.
The list of the.
He said he didn't.
Robotics, $115.02.
So it is active.
So I'm guessing, I think,
You were counting on
Piggyback.
8,000.
Correct.
to piggyback on what Lisa's saying, if, from my math, right, we're $3,000 over.
But in fairness to the children, the kids, they thought they had the 10,000 from Parker last year, that's why we spent the extra 3,000. So they thought that they had that money in an account for them to use for robotics, which in turn, we didn't know that it rolled back to the school, like you say.
And that was never, we never had a conversation about
No.
that, and you
No.
never in the spreadsheet together.
And I just wanna say, I think that most of the problems are coming from the lack of having Miss White here. 'Cause-
Communication.
Yep, that as well, but when all of those responsibilities were on Miss White, she left and Mr. Westling tried to pick it up blind. He had no idea what he was doing, and he was working his butt off to get us our money, to get us to do things. He was working day in and day out. As all of the free time he had between his job and his children at home, he was spending on us. And he did everything he could. So us not having our money, and I'm not trying to say anything mean, I'm sorry if it comes out that way. But it seems to me unfair that we were led astray in a way. I'll say that, because Ms. White had all this information, Mr. Westling didn't. I believe what, the information that all of us know is less than what Mr. Westling knows, and he's not here today.
We were lost from the start.
If there's something
So-
I could communicate as a lesson learned, you know, is coming in to ask, and let's have the conversation up front.
Yeah.
Because I was working under a set of parameters and very thankful for the grant that you helped receive, and I was treating that grant just like we treated all other sponsorships in the past. And having that conversation up front then alleviates any misconceptions or assumptions that can be made.
Well, I want to say that we were under the assumption that Mr. Westling had these conversations. Those are the things he had told us, is that he had it under control, when in fact he was misinformed, and we don't have the 8,000, which I believe he thought the money we spent over came out of the Parker grant. So that 3,000 that we spent over went back to Parker, or from Parker to the school, and we still had, 8,000 left over, because I don't know if it's 3 or what, but
He was
7,000?
doing the math without
It's
the
Yeah.
understanding of the activity, the line items.
And the main reason we're here is because that 7,000, 8,000, we didn't get that back. And that's the reason that's what we were trying to get back is that, because we were under the assumption we would get it back.
Is that money key right now to moving forward with the robotics team? I mean,
As of now-
before the school year starts?
Yes, I wanna say yes, it's key, because that's pretty much the only money we have at the moment to do these off-season projects.
So you do off-season stuff?
Yeah.
wanna upgrade our
Especially
pit.
since last year, yes. Beforehand, we really hadn't, but last year we kicked in an off-season and started doing a lot more work, and this year we're gonna try and do even more off-season work. So we want the money back to be able to do
So,
those things.
Ken, what do you guys need right now?
Primarily funding to do the other robot, if we're gonna be there this summer. And then, they have a list of stuff, don't you guys?
Yeah, that's what we were discussing in the beginning, was the pit design, the robot, and the spare parts.
And what's the total
How much money
ballpark?
would that take?
I think there's 3,000 left over from that, which we would just like to keep for, again, more spare parts.
3,000 out of.
Out of that 8,223, something like that is what we believe we had. That's the number I was given. The math I did, we had about 3,000 left over after we did our.
And then we can work out all the financial stuff over the summer and have a clear picture of where you stand and what you have going into the next season.
If I didn't know anything about this tonight, if you came to me as the principal, I'd say, yeah, go ahead and do what you need to do. We'll put that into the activity account, and we'll take that to the board, and then we'll figure out how to reconcile it. But you guys, by no means should you discontinue your work, you need to keep going.
Yeah, I mean, that can be, like you were saying, in the activity account, once we start the new budgeted year, then we can reconcile it from the line item that you currently have.
But that doesn't mean that we won't look at the 8,000 going back.
Well, under their current agreement that they have, the original agreement that's with the board, I'm not sure that there is 8,000 to get back.
I haven't seen that agreement.
It's not a formal agreement, it's a slideshow from Harrison Black.
I
I
can
still
stand
haven't
on
seen
that
that.
meeting, I concur with what Tim's telling you, that's the way it was presented and the way it's always been practiced. I do feel like I'm hearing what Matthew's saying, and Mr. Weston probably just went in a little bit blind and didn't know.
Sure. No, I understand that.
It was a major.
Nobody's gonna stop you from purchasing the items that you need. It's not that you don't have funding right now. Like I said, we can put it through activity account and reconcile after the new budget takes effect, but.
And I hear what you're saying, but you gotta listen, these gentlemen and ladies are looking at building 2 robots this year, 2 separate robots, one for the first pitch,
Right.
and then one for
Competition.
this, or next spring, or so.
Money you don't have.
Right, so,
We need to know.
Well, we can
Well, it's not
adjust,
that you don't have it.
Yeah.
right.
but we can adjust to add, right, in the future?
We would have to do that through budget, through committee and budget to adjust the line item. What we need to do is, and I know you guys are looking for a vote, you're looking for action, and I get all that, I really do. But I just feel like if we did a vote right now, we would do it blindly without all the information. I would really rather have everything set up, how you're gonna structure your activity account, what your money's gonna go towards. If you're getting a $10,000 grant, are you going to help offset the cost of construction, help offset the cost of fees, whatever the case may be? And then we'll start next month on budget committee meetings. So we will go through your budget that you were given right now, which is the 15 and 11. And again, nobody's looking to decrease that money that you're getting. But we have to figure out how we're gonna help with, we have to look at other, departments or other clubs, see what kind of money they're getting, what kind of costs they have, which obviously they're not gonna have the costs associated with robotics. Everything's very expensive. But a lot of these other clubs are fundraising to help offset their cost. So I would like to hear something about what you guys are gonna do to help, not just with your grant money, but what type of fundraisers are you thinking about, how you might try and help raise money that way as well? And everything be squared away, so to speak, before we do the vote, and everybody's on the same page. Not just us, but all of us together. But
And potentially look at maybe helping them out with the 8,000.
we'll have to we'll have to go over that, because I'm not sure that everybody is following along with what happened with the $8,000. I mean, I'd like to look at their
And
budget.
then at this point, it would just have to be in the budget increase.
Yeah, it would just have to be,
Right.
that would have to go through committee.
What you could add to your notes is here's what we have from a district standpoint. We have, if you wanna look at it this way, we have spending over budget in the amount of $3,032. So if you subtracted that from 10,000, the value the school district would have would be $6,968.
We did like this for finance committee.
When we go to look at budget, we'll have to look at their budgeted items, their budgeted lines.
I just have a question, one other thing, do the other areas that get activities and things like that, do you guys like write off for grants or grants available for things? Or is this just kind of an anomaly with grants?
Can you ask me that question in different terms?
I don't know. Maybe
Do any of the other clubs that use activity accounts, do they write for grants or anything like that to go towards, or?
Science? Is the potential, like,
Potential's there.
okay, so if they wanted to, they could, so you could write for drama grants with different,
When I've gotten donations from sponsors that have gotten put into the activity fund.
what's the difference between a grant and a donation?
Well, I mean, donations.
Well, I could donate $25.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Okay,
You'll have language, typically, you'll have language Matt will have typed in, like, the purpose of this is what we're gonna use this money for.
Correct.
okay,
So then it's earmarked for whatever that purpose is.
okay,
A lot of times sponsors, there's not those stipulations.
they just donate.
They just don't. Now, sometimes the pitch is we're gonna use it for this, that, and that,
Mhm.
and then it's earmarked for this.
Sure. I just wanted to clarify, I know what the difference is, but I
Yeah,
wanted to
no,
clarify
it's a good
in the
question.
wording
I just,
on them.
and so.
Right.
And so what?
So are,
If other activity do receive grants or sponsorships.
Yes. How is that
what
handled?
How does that affect?
how is it handled? Same way?
No, this one was specifically pitched that way.
Okay.
This one was, we want to do robotics. If we agree to this, can we have the
That was the
activity?
pitch from them to us?
Yes.
Right?
Yes,
Okay.
that was
So
the
when-
original pitch to get robotics.
Okay, so we have drama, so the pitch is already out there, right? You want $10,000 because you're gonna do a big production. You make a pitch to wherever, I don't know. You get that money, does that offset the same way?
Yes.
Same thing with baseball, baseball says, hey,
Hey, we wanna go to St. Louis and play at Busch
yeah,
Stadium.
but it's gonna cost us
You fund-
$12,000.
You fundraise for it, hey.
So it's not a grant.
No, it's a sponsors, basically, you fundraise and people are sponsoring it.
So the, like, the athletics don't do grants typically, they just do fundraising, things like
Fundraising
that.
so they can do extra things.
Okay, but those extra things don't offset their activity fund, correct?
No, you get your core competition and stuff paid for. So like
Yeah,
right
they don't
now,
have
if you were to
to-
look at that as far as extra things that the school's paying for
Right.
robotics, it'd be hotel rooms and food when you're out of
Okay.
tournaments. Whereas other baseball going to St. Louis, they fundraise for that.
Yeah.
Now, the difference is baseball has a calendar of scheduled games, right? Robotics, if you don't go to these tournaments,
You don't
you
potentially
don't get
move on.
you don't do any, there's nothing else to do, other than just.
So
maybe
you
throw
guys
the
don't
first
have a
pitch.
scheduled calendar of events?
They do.
They do.
But
You get
have
to choose
go.
which tournaments you go to.
Gotcha.
And there's only one that doesn't require hotel rooms.
Right, and that's, well, they choose that one, which is Peoria, and then they choose, and
And
that's,
those
they
are
are
kind of
closer.
factored into the line item for the
And that's why the
15,000.
district has never balked at paying for hotel rooms and food, because that, they have to go there to play in the event.
So Tim's been a huge advocate of covering all robotics expenses as much as he can. That's why this money went back towards, because over the years, I know that Tim has supported, pretty much said yes to anything they've done. the biggest win that the robotics team can take this evening is, number one, you're gonna get an activities account. So that any money that goes in, that you earn, that you fundraise, that you get, is gonna go into that account, you'll know what's in there, you can have a treasurer.
I just say not yet. The
Well,
board-
if we decide
the board would
that will be the biggest win that you could walk away with,
Right.
okay?
Well, there's two wins you're looking for.
I thought you
That
said
was my
something.
understanding as well, that's why I
The
said.
activity line is in the book.
The two wins that,
Yes,
the two wins that I think they're looking for is to remove the original part of the pitch that says sponsorship.
Right.
and everything.
No,
And
absolutely.
then the other win that they're looking for is, what was it, 6,900?
Well, that's just a grant money from Parker, but we also have sponsorships and fundraising from other lines. That's where we got the 8,000 from, but the 6,000 is just the grant from Parker.
So the second part of what I was gonna say is, if it is decided that definitely we do have an activity account, then you guys can come to the administration for any expense that goes beyond what you are not wanting, willing, or able to pay out of your activity account, and ask the administration if they're willing to support that purchase. And then that can get taken to the board. So let's say you're like, well, we're gonna spend $6,000 on this robot, that's only gonna leave us with $2,000 in our activity account, and we've got all these hotels to pay for. Can we look to the budget line or the board to be able to support that trip? Like, are we spending our money wisely? So you guys can be a little bit smarter about what you have in your activity account.
You gotta do a good job of keeping a running total and stuff.
Well, on this activity account interest breakdown that we have, can we add a line in there how much we're giving each of these line items? Because right now, all it tells me what their current balance is, what their interest earned was.
Yeah, all that's
That's it.
outside of us.
Yeah, that's not-
on the activity itself.
Okay. It'd be nice to know what each one, what we're giving each one.
We don't give any of those anything.
Okay.
So,
But what you can see as far as sports, is you can see the RW co-op cost sharing spreadsheet that's broken down, it tells us exactly what we're spending on every sport.
I think the thing that we want to take away tonight is that we've had a very successful robotics team. They have been at this for 6 years, and we need to reevaluate the funding model.
Yeah, exactly. I think we just need to reevaluate the funding model and
Costs are only going up for
Yep.
everything.
Oh, yeah.
Everywhere.
Everything.
Proud of you guys, and good job advocating for yourselves.
Yes, you guys did a great job.
Yeah, you did super. Like I said, I think we just need a little more communication between administrators and you guys to set up, how you're gonna set up, how you're gonna set your activity accounts up. We'll deal with the actual budget part of everything, and then we'll come back here in July and we'll get it all done.
Thank you.
Yep, keep up your passion and hard work.
Yes, thank you guys.
That's your moment to run away.
Yeah, you can go if you want.
I saw you pick your purse up, that's your moment to run away. She picked her purse up like, maybe.
Thanks, guys, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thanks for coming. Number 11, discussion and action on first read 24-25 student action.
We had a meeting on May 30th, and we went over the student handbook. Jana and Star, Jana especially, had a lot of errors that she noticed. But I think Star, I think you're gonna show us what
Yeah,
the amendments are.
Do you have that to share to everyone to boot you?
Most of them, knowing Jana, were just spacing and format issues,
Correct.
that we're working on.
Okay.
but it makes it look so much nicer.
It's
Easier to read.
It's so good at
Oh,
it.
she's awesome, yeah, we trust her.
Okay, so here's who were on the committee. There were some that were unable to attend,
Rachel and Katie are the only two not present
Yeah.
yet.
but we had a really good meeting. It was very productive. Corrections or changes made to section 1 of academics and activities, where Jana would say, oops, you messed up there, anyway. There were clerical cleanups. We had to reflect the new state contract, which is going back to the ACT test rather than SAT. That had to be reflected. And we just wanted to emphasize the importance of performing to the best of your ability and adjusted the language just a little bit on that. In student attendance, tardies, those things, environment, safety, and discipline code, they were language cleanups, just clerical and grammatical clarifications. And then we did add in the student dress code policy. And here is that. The big things to take away, as always, obscene, clothing that promotes things that shouldn't be promoted in school are out. If you have safety equipment or certain clothes that have to be worn, you need to do so. Torso and undergarments should be adequately covered. Shirts without sleeves are acceptable as long as they cover the body or undergarments, so lack of bra straps showing. Clothing made of tight-fitting or revealing spandex or similar material cannot be worn unless other clothing is worn over and comes to mid-thigh. Shirts and tops not too revealing. Short shorts are not to be worn, or, as I said with the field trip, none that show your butt cheeks. Clothing without excessive holes and slits that are in corsages or revealing in those areas, not allowed to be showed, are not allowed. Pants should be worn at the waist, and other attire deemed inappropriate by administration will be prohibited. The first step is always you ask somebody to either change their shirt or turn it wrong side out, something like that. And then if there are repeated infractions, it leads more. Sorry about my voice.
No worries.
I think it's pretty straightforward, and that's what we were shooting for.
Very comparable and a little less prescriptive than some, we didn't get into measurements and rulers and that type of thing, but mostly common sense.
And the same person deciding what is inappropriate.
Yes.
Correct. And then there were just some additional cleanups, like personnel on the charts, table of contents, we had to adjust numbering. Academic year was updated, and the font style was updated to be ADA compliant. That's it. So, our recommendation as Parent-Teacher Advisory Committee is that this be the second read, because the first one was in our committee, second one here, and we would like your approval. And that way, even with our school improvement team, the big thing is to make sure we get communication out there better. And this would allow us to get the communication out before people buy school clothes. And then go, wait, I just spent all that money.
You guys make an all call is what you guys wanted on that?
Yeah.
Just to clarify, this is the first read by the board.
Right.
Okay, sorry.
It'd be my recommendation that we approve the first read and then come back in July for the second read.
But what do we do with students that need to buy clothes, because they're gonna be buying clothes in June, July first, summer next year? I don't want to.
Unfortunately, I mean, I agree.
We could publish the proposed.
I would go with that.
Yeah, I would do that, because this is the board's
Yeah.
first read, so.
Parents typically are gonna err on the side of caution, so.
Sheldon, it is anticipated that.
Yeah, this is the proposed dress code that upon final read and approval would be implemented.
Can we get that out?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we can post it on our Facebook page, we can send it
Yeah.
out through all call.
We can do a Facebook now, and then once you approve in July, we can do an all call.
Yeah.
As proposed dress code policy changes and,
Well, handbook.
or handbook, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. So the actual language changes, we really didn't have much in the handbook.
No.
No.
So pretty much the biggest change that we're
Is the
gonna
dress
have is
code.
dress code, so
Yeah.
if we just sent the dress code out, just to let everybody know, these are the changes
Yeah.
that we're looking at, and we're gonna vote on it in July.
Yeah, here's a heads up.
here's a heads up, and if you wanna come complain about it, July's the meeting to do it.
I'd keep that guy with the all-call.
Just saying.
I move approval on the first reading of the 24-25 student handbook.
I will second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
None opposed. Rolling into number 12, discussion and action on school improvement plan.
Okay, so on May 30th, we also discussed the school improvement plan. I want to give a big thank you to Tim, Zach, Jason Banner, Brooke Traffican, Cindy Fuller, Lori Seacrest, Star, Kent Rigg, Jessica Bordy, and Jenny Erickson for working on this. They
For
saw
the
all
record, I
this.
didn't do it hardly any work, so thank
Well,
everybody.
it's good, Tim. But they, kind of identified what our weaknesses were from fourth grade going into, I guess, junior high would be the best. They came up with a very good plan. Judy and I saw the plan. I think we're gonna go down the right path. We're trying to get kids caught back up because our math and our English scores are below average right now. So in junior high and high school, so hopefully they recognize the problems starting in fifth grade. And I believe the plan is correct me if I'm incorrect, that we'll have 2 teachers with 120 hours,
100 minutes.
100 minutes. Sorry, 120 hours.
100 minutes.
That's a lot.
I was like, that, boy, our scores go way up.
Yeah, right.
So it's about 100 minutes that they'll, 2 teachers, they'll have.
Every day.
Every day.
Yeah.
So instead of shuffling 5 different teachers, it's gonna be consistent. So that way, the mentality of a fifth grader can't handle all the different teachers, so maybe this will help going forward.
The main pieces are communication, improve our communication with parents and community stakeholders so that there's more support and involvement for our middle schoolers. As Brittany said, you have your academic support, so we'd be intensifying English and math, and then
Social emotional.
really working on the social emotional skills of transitioning from elementary to middle school, so that they would have the skills that they need, the grit that they need to be able to succeed.
All of the studies we consulted showed it didn't matter if you moved them from fourth grade to fifth grade into middle school, fifth grade to sixth grade, seventh grade to eighth grade. What mattered was how much you supported their social and emotional in the transition.
Brittany and Jenny and our other stakeholders asked a lot of good questions, and we had a really good discussion. I felt really good about the outcome.
Teachers are very excited about it.
A lot
So
of fun on it.
it's gonna be 2 teachers instead of having, say, 6?
No, just there'll be blocks of time where instead of transitioning, in our opinion, as a team, our fifth graders transition too quickly to rotating in
Rotating
almost
schedule.
high school
Right.
schedule.
Yeah.
So we're giving them larger blocks of English and math,
Gotcha.
so that they can really work on their skills.
Now,
So instead of having a 50-minute class, they're having a 100-minute class.
in some instances, they're back to back. In some instances, they have 100 minutes with the math teacher, but it is separated during the day
Gotcha.
because of scheduling.
Right.
But we kind of pulled back on the pathway with fifth grade, and they're getting pathway in their regular classroom through activities.
Okay.
And that allowed that 100-minute block during the day.
And the school improvement plan, while we were focusing on middle school, we're applying it to the pre-K through 12. So the social emotional, the increased communication, and curricular alignment that we're doing is going to be applied. That's why in the team you'll see there are middle school teachers, but there's also elementary and high school teachers. Because we're a unique district, we had this opportunity to work on the school improvement plan. We didn't want to isolate it to just middle school. We're going to apply it to the entire school.
Especially with the social emotional, we know that that is through the entire building.
Getting kids who want to work harder, to have the grit, to be able to push themselves and not want to give up.
Do you, can you guys provide a copy of that? I thought I had it at home, but I couldn't find it with the student handbooks or the
Yeah.
Yes.
You want me to?
Do you need
She can share that with you now.
action from us in order to implement?
We need your approval to proceed
Okay.
with the
Yeah.
plan.
And this is,
Lisa, do you have any questions or anything?
the state gave timing for when
The
different
state
steps had to
wanted the
occur.
board to approve that we had, they supported our plan and we had the.
We can submit it.
Okay, great.
school improvement plan, can someone send that to me so I get the board.
I'm doing it now.
Or send to the, whatever, so you guys can see what Jenny and I saw earlier in the month, or later in the month of May.
Okay. Well, gonna have time to read it.
It's not lengthy.
No, and it's,
It's actually not, the main core pages are 3 pages that you kind of outline our plan.
No, I was talking about before we vote.
Oh,
no,
right.
Oh.
Well, you take the recommendation of your committee members.
That's what, I'm waiting on somebody
all
to give me a
positive.
motion.
oh,
I was like, come on, people.
I'll make a motion, yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the school. I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. No opposed. Yeah, I wasn't, I'm saying I wasn't gonna have time to read it before we vote. I plan on reading it, but just,
Yeah, I want you guys to have a copy, it's a very good plan.
It is. I'm very excited.
so, kind of back on that, what are you gonna use for, you just gonna use test scores to see how well it's working, or are you gonna do?
We have a couple different
There's a
measures.
variety depending on what the activity is.
Okay.
So like, you know, you have the 3, one is communication. On that, it's gonna be the number of all calls that go out, the, revised and expanded newsletter.
Interaction of people with our.
Interaction,
page and
because we
our
can
Facebook
track that.
posts. So that's the communication piece.
Yeah.
With our test scores, we can use, we have a STAR system that we just implemented, or not STAR, STAR program that we're using to test kids so we can measure their growth over the course of the year.
As they're going.
Yep,
Yep.
so we'll use that, we'll also use standardized test scores to see
Sure.
how they're doing there.
And teacher input as well.
Yep, so we've got a lot of different, checkpoints.
Outstanding. Number 13, discussion and action on carbon credit partnership contract with Fleet Power.
Charlie has a contract in front of them, and I will just give you the high level slide deck. So basically, what we're working to do is use the electric school buses and our solar generation on site to generate carbon credit revenue on the voluntary carbon market. What the voluntary carbon market is you have corporations, typically it's large corporations, that will purchase carbon credits in order to meet sustainability goals or emissions reduction goals. Electric school buses are pretty easy to track as far as miles traveled, and compare miles traveled electric versus miles traveled diesel, and we can quantify the amount of that fuel that's generated on site through solar energy. This company, what they do is they extract all of that data from our systems, and then it gets validated. Once you get validated, you can get certificates in order to be able to sell the credits on the voluntary market. They have experience, where they're the most experienced is validating the certificates and finding buyers for the credits. By and large, the pitch is the industry believes this market is in its infancy. It's only going to expand, so the value for the credits is going to get higher and higher. They are basically just asking to split the revenue with us for them doing all the work. There wouldn't be any work with our personnel as long as they're able to get into the API of our buses and chargers. We don't even have to send them any data or reports. They do their technology does it automatically, and then they validate the certificate, sell them on the market, and split the revenue. They calculate about $1,100 in annual net benefits per bus to the school. Is what they calculate. It's going to take about a year and a half to get it off the ground in order for them to have the data that they can submit to get certificates validated and put up for sale. And that's pretty much it.
Go back one slide.
Yeah. That's their estimate, their revenue estimate.
So the fact that we're running the buses creates carbon credits, and this just is a way for us to.
Monetize.
As a contract contract normally 15 years?
These, they typically are, it's just like
That's where
a
I was.
clean energy asset, like
So,
solar.
I mean, I've got, what's the total startup cost, the 20 to 25?
22,000.
$20,000 to $25,000 startup cost.
Okay, what is involved in that startup, the cost of that?
It's basically their engineers putting in the time to, attach themselves to our APIs, run the reports, ideally get it automated, and then put that data together in order to get the, I'll call them certificates, validated, so that they can sell them on the open market, and then they find the buyers, they conduct the sale. That's where all that cost is.
So, I mean.
So no, the district doesn't pay that.
No, I get it.
Who
But,
pays that?
I mean, there's,
Comes out of the revenue.
we have no carbon collection facility. So the only way that they're making any money on it is by continuing to, what I would say, force the school's hand to continue to go green, to continue to go greener than what we already are. I mean, there's no monetary value in credit, right?
Yeah, they sell those credits on the voluntary carbon market.
But what are they selling?
They're selling the emissions reductions to corporations that have sustainability, plans put in place by their boards that they have to meet. Like
So we're going to reduce the carbon footprint.
Sure, I understand
and
that.
Disney's gonna buy it because
Yeah.
they're a little over they're on the high side, and they wanna even things out. And
Okay.
they're willing to pay for it,
Yeah.
and
know
we're gonna
it.
generate it anyway, so
No, I know it.
I like cash.
You know what?
No, I'll refrain.
I mean, are we tied into this for 25 years?
I think the contract is
15
years. 15, which is typically the life of a bus.
I'm gonna ask that we take.
And if we sell a bus, what happens?
Then you don't create the emission reduction, and the credit value goes down.
So if we sell all the buses in 3 years, then it
You're
just
not on
ends
the
because
hook,
you
it
don't.
just ends because you're not generating any credit.
Well, my only concern is the termination part of this. Because in here it says we have to have 15 years. And this is.
I'm not, I would ask that we table.
Where's your termination clause? Well, let's answer
Okay.
questions that you asked.
7.6, remain for 15 years. I mean, so like Lisa indicated, if we get rid of the buses, or we get rid of 5 or 6, what are we on the hook for in this contract?
Nothing.
But it automatically renews, right?
Fine, I'm still looking for the termination.
It's
clause.
11. On the bottom page 11, sorry.
7.6 is the clause.
So all you have to do to terminate the contract is provide written notice of non-renewal at least 6 months prior to the end of the current contract.
Top of page 12.
Either party may terminate the contract at any time with 30 days written notice, provided that all outstanding obligations have been met. So like the biggest thing there is the 20 to 25.
Outstanding obligation could be 15 years on a bus. I think this is something our attorney needs to look at before we sign 15-year contracts. And I would like to do more research on this program.
I think this is maybe the 4th month I brought it, but I haven't brought the language of it.
I was gonna say, this is the first time that we've actually seen, like, kind of the meat and potatoes of it.
I agree. I don't wanna sign something for 15 years.
Okay, just know you might lose the opportunity to generate that revenue.
I'd rather have all 5
I-
looking at it.
Yeah, I'd rather have everybody here to look at that, and I'd rather have probably our council take a look at it just to.
It's your case, obviously, it's up to you guys. Any of that could have been done before tonight.
This is the first time that I've seen this.
I didn't know that it was something that you thought council needed to take a look at.
We didn't know.
I
we
didn't
got
know
it.
it was a 15-year contract with,
I could have forwarded it to David had I known that.
I didn't know it was a 15-year contract. And when you start using language in there that leaves open for obligations, all outstanding obligations, that's open-ended.
I don't think the money
It
was
was
that
still
long late.
ended.
According to that, you get it as long as all outstanding obligations are made, or met.
Well,
Which is the starting cost.
But you have potential to make it about 200,000 here.
Potential.
You're not gonna lose anything.
No, but I'd rather, like Chad said, I would agree to have everybody on board with this, and then also for like the attorney to actually look over the term and make sure he's comfortable with what we're signing. That's my opinion. I don't wanna sign
This
something.
table on the back is our figures, right?
Correct. Those are the estimates that they. So I mean, that's what you're risking in revenue.
The 70,000.
The,
It's
well,
like
you look at the
200
far
far
right,
right.
so FY 26, 3,700, FY 27, 9,300, FY 28, 10,000, up to at the end of year 15, 35,000 annually for.
Yeah, but that's a projection, right?
It is.
We don't know that
You don't,
If
all
we-
it's saying is it doesn't cost you anything, the projection right now is $295,000 of revenue.
If we decide to do this, Tim, obviously you're not gonna be here next month, how would we go forward with this?
I have no idea.
We sign the contract and then we call it fleet power.
You try and work with them on whatever terms it is that you want.
Well, I would like to make a motion to table the carbon credit partnership contract with Fleet Power until the next board meeting.
all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Yes.
Uh, 14, administrative report.
All right, school update. We recently received notification from the state board that our HST nursing assistant aide patient care college and career pathway endorsement has been fully approved. This supports a graduating student's transition to college and career by adding a credential onto their standard high school diploma. We are among the first school districts in the state to offer this opportunity to kids. So kudos really, I think, goes to Jamie and Ms. Seacrest for getting the work, putting the documents together to get that approval. As far as activities, FFA activities continue, athletic enhancement activities have begun. The following activities were held since our last regular board meeting. The Excellence in Education Banquet, CTE Senior Signing Day, Baccalaureate and High School Graduation, Baseball and Softball Regionals, Track Sectionals. We hosted the high school softball sectional. We had final exams, Teachers Institute, and elementary field trips. Building update at softball field backstop paddings in both hands. Bus barn remaining electrical work is complete. Board Warner will be on site this week, looks like Wednesday, to commission the remaining DC fast chargers. For the roof mount solar, we anticipate this work to begin this month.
Have they started that yet?
They have not. Finance update. The REAP grant secured FY 25, the value is $19,867. Our ISB Digital Equity Formula Grant led to 4 classroom flat screens which are installed. With E-rate, just a reminder that Form 486 will need to be filed after July 1st to complete the process. Title 1, 2, and 4, ISB has approved. Those funds combined cover about 40% of our parapro salary, 15% of SRO, and funds the purchase of about 25 Chromebooks. Our total grant allocation is just over $74,000. Ag 3 circles, I have planned to have that complete by the end of June. Ag incentive grant the same. The IRA clean energy credits, I completed that and filed for approximately $110,000 direct pay rebates from our electric buses and chargers. I've been told that we're the first district in the nation to file for these funds, and I anticipate it will become very popular in years to come. So that check should be coming from the IRS hopefully before the end of June. School tax levy, our final Knox County tax rate was $4.15, just 22 cents lower than we projected, and by far the lowest in the area. Again, please be prepared to raise the levy request in each of the next 3 years to support the new collective bargaining agreement. If you do, the rate should go back to about $4.34 next year, which still projects to be the lowest in the area. Transportation, first year with the buses exceeded expectations. We traveled about 33,000 miles and saved about $13,000 in diesel fuel, which is about an 80% savings in fuel costs. When our tax return gets approved, the check comes in the mail, the last portion of our upgrades are complete. If the transportation claim is filed, we will have received about $3.3 million in capital assets for about $20,000 in local money. We started with 7 yellow school buses and we'll end with 9 new yellows, so 2 additional buses. 5 of those have air conditioning. We'll have 11 charging stations and all the electrical infrastructure upgrades needed to integrate with our solar arrays and make the system bi-directional. All that for about $20 grand, with operational savings, ideally carbon credit revenue coming in for the next several years. So you've got the possibility of adding $6,500 in fuel saved on each route each year, with an additional, projecting it out, $1,500 to $3,500 per bus in carbon credit revenue. We continue to work with Newbie and Line Electric to activate the Vita-X capacity of our buses and chargers, which will allow our buses to offload energy from building use and help the district save more money on electricity consumed on campus. Our mutual aid agreement with Knox County and First Student is near finalization. That will allow our school bus batteries to be used for emergency power in a disaster scenario. Working with Adam to properly decommission the 2 old diesels that were replaced with EPA clean school bus funding. Plan to have all grant paperwork associated with our transition complete by the end of June. And then last, our transformed bus is scheduled to be delivered soon. Hope to have it in place and any potential bugs worked out by June 30th.
So the 110, that's because of the buses, and we're gonna get that this year, and we could get that potentially every year?
No, that's a one time, it's a capital expense.
We would get that, and then if we would do this, potentially get it all squared away, then we would have potentially another couple $100,000. Plus the savings of.
Over the course of 15 years, but I was just looking at our electric bill, and our electric bill was $20,000 last month for NG, and that's not counting, Primergy, what's the other one? Primergy.
That's not, so what that is, we're
I'm
currently.
assuming it's 2 months, I hope it is.
No, it's several months, because I'm disputing those charges. I don't think those charges are accurate, so they can give us, so when all the smoke cleared, we have a past due amount, so I told Laura, while I'm working with them to finalize this dispute, go ahead and put the amount that they say we owe them onto the check, hold the check back until I finish it, with the dispute that I have with them.
So I know we didn't have a bill last month for them, but we had a bill the month before, it was, I believe, a little over 10 or 11,000 then. Because I know that you and I have talked about our power bills that went up, and I'm hoping that this new solar array is gonna help even further.
Oh, it will.
The problem that I see with some of this stuff is, it's great, the projections look awesome, it looks like we're really gonna save a lot of money, but there's costs on the backside. And we're seeing it right now with our electric bills.
No, that's calculated into those savings.
So you're taking what, health,
We're
in
taking,
consideration when you're.
absolutely, yeah, because we know that's, so we do a weekly readout on how many miles each bus has traveled, how many kilowatt hours of electricity. And we're consistently averaging 1.49 kilowatt hours per mile. So, you can pretty much, you can bank on that. When we travel a mile, it costs us 1.49 kilowatt hours for electricity. we know for the next, I think there's maybe 10 years remaining on our first solar PPA, we know exactly what we're gonna be paying per kilowatt hour for each of those next 10 years for electricity. We'll know the same with the array that we get on the roof once it's finalized. That'll be, I can't remember if that was 15 or 20 years, but we'll know exactly what we're paying per kilowatt hour for electricity for each of those years. So we'll know exactly what we're paying to fuel those buses for each of those years. Diesel fuel, we have a 12-month contract. In my 11 years here, it's gone, the average annual increase is 8%. So when you factor that into a low electricity price guarantee with your solar PPA, the savings on fuel is projected to increase each and every year. What we're trying to do right now is that NG bill right now is the brown power contract that we have. That's the power we have to purchase off of the market that we don't produce on site. And that price fluctuates. So that's why we're putting the roof mount solar array so that we're locked into a higher percentage of what we consume so that our prices are more guaranteed. And that's why we're trying to use the buses to back feed energy to the building, especially in the summer when we're running AC during times of peak demand, because the price per kilowatt hour that we pay on a brown contract during peak demand is significantly higher than what we pay when it's not a time of peak demand. So all those things are designed to continuously save more money on energy and complement each other so that you can generate more revenue on the carbon market. Because you can generate more revenue on the carbon market if you're fueling your buses with solar power than you can if you're buying brown power from Amazon or whatever supplier that Amazon's transmitting to. You don't have a guarantee that that's green or coal, right? Or natural gas.
No, you don't have a guarantee on where it's coming from.
The thing that I'm leaving you with to ponder is eventually you're gonna have to come up with a cycle. This is my recommendation, Dave, to believe that, you're gonna have to generate a cycle, a bus replacement cycle. Because ideally, unless you put money away, you're not gonna wanna replace your fleet all at once. You're gonna see differences in mileage, so you could, Adam could take the approach, depending upon the plan that you wanna implement, he can shift buses onto different routes so that they all have similar mileage, or he can shift buses onto routes so some of them have higher mileages than others, and then you can stair step the replacement. And then you've got to put money aside to replace those buses, because that's the other savings that we're not seeing yet. Right now, a brand new diesel bus is about $110,000. And since when I was on the school board, and that continued when I was as superintendent, we budgeted for a new bus every other year. That was just our cycle. Every other year, we budgeted for a new bus. So every other year, you're saving $110,000 or whatever the cost of the new bus is too. On top of that, but that money's got to be put aside so that we can feed that replacement cycle. So just throw that in the back of your mind.
Chad, can I just add, I didn't mention with the school improvement plan, that there's also a grant that goes along with that we've given, price estimates to Tim on.
Nice. Okay.
So we can help set some of those startup costs with it.
Perfect, thank you. Motion for executive.
I'll make a motion to move into executive session. Second.
Roll call, Jenny, Brittany,
Yes.
Lisa,
Yes.
and I'm a yes.
I want you to know, I think I'm doing pretty well on my.
No free lunch today? Free breakfast. I move approval of the June personnel report. I second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. No opposed.
I move to adjourn. I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
No opposed. I was waiting on you to be west, you're sitting over
Oh.
there.
Not in the mode,
And Lisa beat you to it.